I welcome everybody to part 7 of Mix vs. Mix, a video series where me and my buddy Sam are both doing a mix of the same song, and we're comparing and contrasting our different approaches and techniques, and talking about why we did the certain processing that we did. And at the end, we're going to go ahead and compare our two mixes. So today we're going to look at vocals, and my whole idea with the vocals was just basically to just clean things up with the EQ, add a little bit of brightness, give it some width and depth, and one of the ways that I did that was with just a couple of effects. So there's not too much processing going on, so let's go ahead and listen to the vocals in and out of the track, and then we'll go ahead and do some bypassing of the plugins, and then we'll talk about the vocal effects as well as the vocal chain after we listen to some audio. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started.
Memories from my past. On these tear-stained shipwrecks, I was born to be broken, clinging to the edge of my own destruction. When your love came to find me, rescued, freed by your saving grace. Embrace. Everything no seems to hit the ground. And everyone I know tries to push me down. Oh, trying to find a way out, cannot crawl on my own doubts. Trying to feel a purpose, cannot feel it's worth it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the processing here. So as I've been doing before, I'm going to go ahead and start at the bus. So let's go to our vocal bus. I started off with the virtual mix rack, and I just added some color here with the 1073 mic pre, and this is really good for warming things up as well as giving it some grit if you want it to. And to me, it kind of also helps the mid-range and the lower mids kind of poke through but not sound muddy. Okay, so as far as EQ, I did some high passing here at about 80 hertz, rolled out some muddiness here at 400, and then took off some of the bite here at 4K, but added some presence back in here with the custom series lift, and then added some low end as well. Just very subtle here with this custom series lift. So as far as processing on the vocal bus, not too much going on there. And then I have a kind of like a Fairchild emulation. I know that this isn't exactly a Fairchild, but it kind of behaves in that sort of way. But this is really a nice tube variable mu compressor, which basically means that the tubes are doing the compression. And that tube sound just really sort of fattens up the low end of the vocal. And as far as compression, it's getting maybe 1 dB of compression. So like half a dB to a dB of compression. This is mostly just to glue the different tracks together. As you can see, there's 4 vocal tracks. So this just kind of makes them sound cohesive. And it also, like I said, just fattens it up a little bit. So real basic there. Let's go to the lead vocal. So I started off with just a preset here on the Eosis E squared de-esser, the male singing preset, and it's real nice. I mean, it takes care of all the nasty harshness up there, but also gives it some EQ to bring back some of that clarity. So this is my favorite de-esser by far, and it's just so easy to dial in. You basically just set a preset, and then you can either change your amount or adjust your dry wet mix there, and boom, it's done. So that's real nice. I have the virtual tape machine here, and I drove it pretty hard. I was going for hitting around 0 dB on the meter here. Reduced the noise because I didn't want a lot of tape hiss. And yeah, real basic there, 30 inches per second, an old tape type, and I'm using the 2-inch 16 track. And once again, the reason I'm using the Neve is because to me it just really handles the bottom end and the low mids in a nice way that it fattens things up but doesn't make it muddy. Then as far as EQ with this custom series, I'm basically doing the same thing again as I did on the bus, but I'm just high passing a little higher. Just really wanted to clean things up. To me it sounded, these vocals are recorded very well, but there was a little bit of muddiness and a little bit of harshness. And I also know that some of this harshness is going to be added in as soon as I compress. So I just kind of tame it beforehand. So yeah, that's real basic EQ there. I'm using a Blue Stripe 1176, and I'm just getting 3 to 5 dB of gain reduction. When it hits hard, it might go maybe even all the way up to 7, but for the most part, it's like 3 dB of compression, and adding some makeup gain. So I know it's not fair really when I'm bypassing the plugins because I'm getting a gain increase, but I would say I could still tell that it sounds better with this processing. I know that people say, oh, if it sounds louder, it's automatically better, but I don't think that's true. I've heard some muddy things that are louder than things that are clean, and I can automatically tell that I like the clean thing better than the muddiness. So that's kind of a subjective thing. Anyhow, moving on. So my favorite EQ on lead vocals is the 1073, and I just add some body in here at 220, and then I add a little bit of upper mids here at 7.2K, so like half a dB there. And then my favorite frequency on this EQ is the 12K shelf, and that's adding less than a dB, but it really makes a big difference with this EQ. And then I'm adding some drive here just to give it a little bit of color. Okay, and then we'll come back to the effects here. As far as the vocal double, pretty much the same thing, but I didn't do any boosting, and I used a different compressor here just to get a different color. And the thing to take note of here is that I have a faster attack and a fast release, just because I want these to sit back in the mix. If I wanted it to come forward, I would slow the attack down. And if I wanted to make it sit farther back, I would speed it up even more. So that's my thought process there. And then the only other thing that's different with the EQ is instead of cutting at 4K, I cut at 2K, because 2K kind of is where I wanted the lead vocal to sit more. And then I rolled off some of the top end here also. Also, once again, just making room for the lead vocal. I think this one is processed the same way. Yeah, same processing here. Processing here on the doubles. As far as the harmony, yep, same thing. Just that I didn't roll off the top end on the harmony. So real simple um, thought process there. I want the double and the harmony to sound different than the lead vocal. I don't want them to smear together. Even though I'm using the compressor to glue them together, I still want to have separation between these parts. So let's go ahead and check out the effects. On the actual vocal bus here, or maybe it's not on the vocal bus. Um, Excuse me. I thought I had put a reverb on here, but I did not put a reverb on the vocals. So the only actual effect on the vocal is on the lead vocal here. Um, the reverb that I was hearing was the reverb that I put on the pre-master, which we will talk about later. Um, but yeah, the only effect on the lead vocal is a delay, and I'm using the Slate digital repeater. I'm using a PCM42 emulation, and on the left side I have a quarter note, on the right side I have an eighth note. Real low feedback. I'm rolling out the low end up to about like 200, probably, maybe even higher. Probably 250, 300 area. Then rolling off some of the high end to darken it up, and adding a little bit of this color in there. And you can see they're panned hard left and right, and the mix is 100% since it's on ascend. From there, I used my dynamic delay trick that I have a video on, and if you've watched my videos, you've probably seen me do this 100 times. But yeah, I'm just side chaining the lead vocal into this compressor, so that way when the lead vocal is singing, it's ducking down the delay, and then when the vocal lets up, it lets the delay come through. And you can see I have this delay dialed back a lot, almost minus 15 dB. So this just really gives it a nice sense of space. And I'm going to do a video on effects, so I'll go into this more in detail then. But yeah, this is just a real nice way to make a mono vocal sound stereo, and just give it a sense of space without having to put a reverb on it. So that might be part of the reason why I decided not to put a reverb on here. But if I had chosen to put a reverb on it, I probably would have put it here on the vocal bus. So excuse that little mistake that I just did here. But yeah, you could see just some EQ and compression, a little bit of saturation, and then a delay. It can really transform the way a vocal sounds. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion, as I always say. If you really liked it, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Please go out and check out Sam's video on this because he did some really cool stuff. I really enjoy his like minimalist approach. That's something that I try and do too sometimes, but sometimes I kind of get a little bit carried away. I don't think I got carried away in this case, but I really enjoy how he uses just stock plugins for the most part, and he just does a little boost here, a little boost there, a little bit of compression, and boom, he has a great sounding mix. So check out all his videos in the Mix versus Mix series because he has different approaches than me, and I think you can learn a lot from watching his videos. I know that I've learned some things from watching his videos, and I'm sure that he's learned some from me. So that's a great thing about having friends who do mixing. So once again, thank you so very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day, and thank you so very much.